Hello, everybody. We are coming to you live from the NDTV newsroom. And well, what we're focusing on this week is, well, what's become a huge political controversy, a huge political row, at least here in Delhi. But of course, it concerns many states because now we're talking about the Aam Aadmi Party and Arvind Kejriwal has fielded candidates from his party from various poll-bound states. In fact, what's interesting is that in Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, and Rajasthan, the party is contesting on almost all seats. What's most interesting is that Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh are relatively new states for the Aam Aadmi Party. And you have Kejriwal fielding his candidates there as well. In Mizoram, most interestingly, the Aam Aadmi Party has fielded candidates as well. But this week, news came of multiple setbacks to the Aam Aadmi Party. First, of course, you had the Supreme Court observation, or the Supreme Court judgment rather, in Manish Sisodia's bail plea as far as the liquor policy case is concerned. And the Supreme Court made several important points, also saying that a money trail tentatively has been established prima facie. This is what the Supreme Court said. And then just a day after, perhaps 2 days after that, you had an ED summons being sent to Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal himself. Though he did not appear for the ED summons, he did receive it and he called it political vendetta. And on the same day, you had the Enforcement Directorate also searching or conducting searches at Rajkumar Anand's residence. Now, Rajkumar Anand, of course, a party veteran and Delhi's social welfare minister. So you had ED searches at his residence as well. So multiple setbacks for the Aam Aadmi Party, and now multiple Aam Aadmi Party leaders now in the corruption net as well. Now, this comes at an interesting time. You cannot really ignore the timing of the entire agency action, because this comes just weeks ahead of crucial state elections in Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Mizoram, all four states where the Aam Aadmi Party has fielded candidates in. Then, of course, it also comes at a time when you are seeing the opposition space an interesting movement there as well, with multiple meetings being held, and of course Arvind Kejriwal and the Aam Aadmi Party pitching itself to be an important part of the India bloc as well. So at such a time, what do these corruption allegations really mean? Because now you have multiple Aam Aadmi Party leaders in the corruption net. Can these allegations, and so far these are just allegations, a lot of them have not been proven. In fact, we see a lot of times that agencies come up with a lot of allegations, but they're not proven in court. So these are still in the realm of allegations. But in terms of the larger perception, have these allegations really dented the Aam Aadmi Party's kattar imandar image? Because that is what the party projected itself to be. In fact, the party started with India against corruption. We all remember back in 2013. It was the Aam Aadmi Party actually grew out of a movement. It grew out of India against corruption, and its clean image, its kattar imandar image was perhaps one of the most important political planks for the Aam Aadmi Party as well. It's not just something for it did benefit them politically as well, at least as far as Delhi is concerned. So can these allegations really dent the Aam Aadmi Party's political image? Now, let's quickly, in a sense, go through who are the leaders who find themselves, in a sense, cornered by agencies. Now, of course, you have Arvind Kejriwal, a summons being sent to him. So, and he was questioned, though as a witness, he was questioned in the liquor policy case earlier by the Central Bureau of Investigation. Then you have former Deputy Chief Minister and one of Arvind Kejriwal's closest aides, Manish Sisodia, in jail in the liquor policy case. He was the former excise minister. He was at the helm of affairs at the time when this new liquor policy was implemented and then withdrawn later. Then you have Sanjay Singh, who's of course an Aam Aadmi Party MP in Rajya Sabha, and he is in jail in the liquor policy case. So he was also a witness. He was not an accused. Manish Sisodia, on the other hand, was accused number one as far as the CBI FIR is concerned. Then you also have leaders like Jasmine Shah, who were questioned by the agencies. Then you have Amanatullah Khan, who was raided in a separate case. That was a Waqf board case. So he was raided in a separate case. Then you, of course, have Satinder Jain. Now, Satinder Jain, also a former minister, the former health minister of the national capital, very close aide of Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal. In fact, he was one of the architects of the entire Delhi health model that Arvind Kejriwal actually used a lot politically. In fact, health and education were two of the two main pillars of his political planks. So you have Satyendra Jain in a disproportionate assets case as well in jail. So you have all these leaders who are in the corruption net. Now, how does this impact the Aam Aadmi Party politically? Well, has there been any referendum on the Aam Aadmi Party since the time the entire liquor policy case at least began? Well, the first election that actually comes to mind is the MCD elections here in the national capital, where the Aam Aadmi Party won. The Aam Aadmi Party won the MCD elections. In fact, the BJP was defeated in the MCD elections after 15 years. So after 3 terms, the BJP was defeated here in the national capital as far as the local municipal polls are concerned. Now, it is subjective whether these can really be a litmus test for the Aam Aadmi Party or not, because after that a lot has changed, and these are of course local polls, so they have to be looked at in that context. Now, politically speaking, the BJP has raked up this issue. So, as far as the perception game is concerned, you of course have the BJP saying that, the Kattar Imandar image has been completely destroyed, and these people are not Kattar Imandar but Kattar Beiman. So, this is what the narrative essentially has been as far as the BJP is concerned. Now, what the opposition's response invariably to these raids and these, searches and arrests is that they say this is political vendetta. Now, this time around, in fact, after Arvind Kejriwal received an ED summons, he wrote a very scathing letter to the agency, and he said that this is not just political vendetta, but this is also scant on detail. The summons is scant on detail, is what Arvind Kejriwal essentially said. He said that it's unclear whether I'm being called in as a witness or suspect, because he's not an accused. No agency has really made him an accused, neither the CBI nor the Enforcement Directorate. He was earlier summoned by the CBI as a witness, as I said earlier. So he said that's not clear, and hence it's scant on detail. Now, what are the charges that the agencies essentially are probing? Now, if you look at what the CBI is probing, so in very simple terms, because it's a rather convoluted and confusing case, in simple terms, the CBI is looking at the trail of corruption, which is what the Supreme Court also referred to in its observation as far as Manish Sisodia's bail plea is concerned. Now, that trail of alleged corruption essentially means, or the charge is at least, that the margin as far as the sale of liquor is concerned was hiked by the Aam Aadmi Party government in Delhi to benefit certain wholesale distributors and certain vendors. So the margin was hiked to benefit certain vendors, and they received kickbacks in return. And those kickbacks were diverted by the Aam Aadmi Party to use those as funds for their poll campaigns in Goa and Punjab. This is what the allegation by and large is. That is what the CBI is probing. Now, what the Enforcement Directorate is probing is that whether there is money laundering involved. Where did this money go? Though these alleged kickbacks and commission that was received by the Aam Aadmi Party allegedly, where did this money actually go? This is what the Enforcement Directorate is probing. So these are two angles, by and large, that are being probed by the central agencies. Now, of course, you have multiple angles in this. You have the allegation of the South Cartel, which is why K. Kavita, KCR's daughter, was also questioned. In fact, she was also summoned multiple times by the Enforcement Directorate. So you have multiple angles in this. Now, looking at it politically, in Delhi, uh, what has been the people's response? As I said, in the MCD elections, the Aam Aadmi Party was able to win, and after that, you of course had the long battle as far as the mayoral polls were concerned. You had that back and forth in the inside the civic center here in the national capital between the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party. And the BJP says that Arvind Kejriwal must take accountability and resign, because you have two of his closest aides. Now, remember, this is an important thing. You have two of his closest aides, Manish Sisodia and Satyendra Jain, who are currently in jail in separate cases. Then you have this idea that multiple experts also talk about, that two of his biggest political planks, or two of the biggest pillars of Arvind Kejriwal's Delhi model, that he is now pitching in other states, that he pitched in Punjab, that he pitched in Gujarat, that he's now pitching in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh and even Rajasthan for that matter. Two of the pillars of that Delhi model have collapsed, because what were those two pillars? You had the education department and the health department. Education, of course, he talks about, and he talks with great pride, Arvind Kejriwal, about the municipal schools here in the national capital, and how he has totally transformed the education system. As far as health is concerned, you have the mohalla clinics, and that was something that was milked politically as well by the Aam Aadmi Party. So you have these two pillars in a sense collapsing, because you have the former health minister Satyendra Jain, who was the architect of this health model, and former education minister, who was also the excise minister, but education minister Manish Sisodia, also in jail. So what happens to this Delhi model essentially? Now, how is Arvind Kejriwal now? Can he pitch the Delhi model in other states? Because of course you will have the opposition questioning him on corruption, and on the fact that even though you pitch this Delhi model, there is a trail of corruption that needs to be uncovered. So you have all these aspects denting his political image. Now, what many had also talked about within the BJP, that there would be the arrest of Arvind Kejriwal is imminent. In fact, if you look at the Aam Aadmi Party as well, there were leaders suspecting Arvind Kejriwal's possible arrest, even though he is still a witness. And now, what we're looking at is that the Enforcement Directorate seeking to make the entire party an accused in the liquor policy case. Now, that is significant, because if the entire party is made an accused, as the Enforcement Directorate has talked about in court, then you'll have the national convener immediately cornered in the entire controversy. Then you will have then perhaps the arrest of Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, who is also the national convener of the Aam Aadmi Party, almost inevitable. So, those are multiple angles to be looked at. Now, what is the Aam Aadmi Party doing? Now, the Aam Aadmi Party continues to say this is political vendetta, continues to say that ultimately the BJP's objective is to finish the party and is to put all tall leaders of the party behind bars. But looking at it legally, now, there has been a setback in the Supreme Court as well, as far as the Aam Aadmi Party is concerned, because they had really pinned their hope on the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said that Manish Sisodia will continue to be in jail for the next 6 months, and the trial has to be expedited as well. So strong observations by the Supreme Court. So then, will Arvind Kejriwal now challenge his ED summons in the Supreme Court? Because that seems to be one of the legal options available before Arvind Kejriwal. Because remember, you can skip 3 ED summons, and after that, the central agency has the right to move for a non-bailable warrant, which ultimately a court orders. So, he's well within his rights in a sense to skip the first ED summon. And he said that I have multiple engagements in poll-bound states and here in the national capital as well. So, legally, this is in a sense giving the Aam Aadmi Party some time to look at its options as well, because there is very little legal recourse left, at least as far as Manish Sisodia's bail piece is concerned. How Arvind Kejriwal approaches it remains to be seen. But politically, of course, it's a conundrum for the Aam Aadmi Party, because, of course, as I said, his Delhi model, in a sense, has been hit because of the arrest of 2 of his closest aides and 2 of the architects of that model, and at the same time, one of his major political planks, which was this crusade against corruption. In fact, he said that many called him the crusader against corruption. That image has also been hit because of multiple Aam Aadmi Party leaders being in the corruption radar. How this pans out remains to be seen. How the Aam Aadmi Party actually performs in these new states. Of course, after Punjab, it had also fought in Gujarat, where we saw how it actually dented the Congress's prospects more than the BJP's. And then how it actually performs in these new states, rather new states where it's not even contested in municipal elections. How it performs, that perhaps will be the most important referendum, and how the opposition is looking at it. Because remember, there's entire politics at play as far as the opposition is concerned also, because there are these reports of possible alleged or reported rifts between the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party, though that is something that has been clarified multiple times over by the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party as well. How that seat sharing is actually worked out, that remains to be seen, whether the opposition comes out in strong support. Though you have sections of the Congress, even the TMC, saying that Arvind Kejriwal's ED summons is nothing but political vendetta. But how that plays out remains to be seen, and it's the timing, as I said, cannot be ignored, because after all, it is election season. So that's it on this Newsroom Live. We'll continue to track all the latest stories. Do stay tuned and keep watching.